This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Coffee-fueled stories. Coffee fitness unicorn. Coffee fitness unicorn. Hello. I'm Coffee Fitness Unicorn, and you're listening to Coffee Chats Podcast, a show where storytelling and coffee hang out. Today's guest is the Queen of Halloween, Melissa Carbone. She is also the author of Ready, Fire, Aim. Hello, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good to see you. This is so cool. Thank you for hanging out with me.
Hey man, thanks for putting us on your platform. I appreciate it.
We were talking about all of the pictures on the wall behind you.
Yes. Yeah. Those are all 10 years of haunted hayride, and then the little one right there is a Great Horror Campout.
That is so cool, which is what brings you to the show in addition to your book, Ready, Fire, Aim. So let's go ahead and why don't you start with the haunted hayride and kind of let everybody know who you are. I know who you are, and I know why you're here, and I'm excited to have you. So let's get these guys pumped and tell them who you are.
Yeah, so I'm Melissa. I created the LA Haunted Hayride way back in 2009. Yeah. So, it's funny because the LA Haunted Hayride, I always call it's my first child, like my firstborn. It was the very first thing out of corporate America that I created. And, if you don't live in LA, maybe you haven't heard of it, but if you live here, pretty much you've either gone to it or you at least have heard of it. So, 13 years later, that's an amazing thing, and probably, one of the things I'm the most proud of. So, and also why people call me the Queen of Halloween. Is that what you just called me?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So it's literally because of that one singular event, the LA Haunted Hayride. So,
so cool.
Yeah. So I created the LA Haunted Hayride, and that's what I'm most known for. We are going into our 14th year this upcoming season. And, the LA Haunted Hayride has gone into other markets. We actually, it was the mothership kind of catalyst for my horror company, 1031 Productions, which I sold in 2018 to a company called 13th Floor Entertainment Group, who I am still a part of that group now. And, we've just taken the hayride and a bunch of other attractions to a whole new level.
That is so cool. So cool. I can't thank you enough. Like that, to have you on this show is just that's so awesome. And I'm sure you guys had with the pandemic and everything, how you guys had to adjust and figure out what to do. So the fact that you guys are back for the attack is freaking awesome.
Yeah. What's funny is so that the Halloween business is just one of I have a production company, another one, and I own actually a big giant country music festival as well. And a bunch of other things. But the pandemic, first of all, the hayride did not miss 1 year, which, is insane. And we literally in 2020 were the only Halloween attraction open in all of Los Angeles.
That is so cool.
So we actually had an incredible year. But the pandemic also and this we can probably get into more when we start talking about the book, but it forced me to pivot. And so it actually gave birth to two other brands, one of which is called Boat Cinema, which is a new brand of mine that I love, that I'm focusing on a lot. And then my Drive-In at the Park series, which we did 176 drive-ins over the course of the pandemic.
That is so cool.
So it was crazy. I mean, seeing, 3,500 to 4,500 people a weekend during a lockdown is insane. Like to even fathom that is crazy, and now that we're out of it, it doesn't sound as impressive, but in the moment I was like, damn, how, like, it's insane that this many people are coming out during a pandemic, but they didn't. It was a blast. So it was the catalyst for some, some new good ideas, I think.
Very cool, which that actually is going to tie in perfectly with your book. So Ready, Fire, Aim, which I think is a brilliant title. I love how you came up with that. Do you want to share how you came up with that?
Yeah. So, it's funny. I haven't read the book in so long that sometimes I'm like, I don't like even remember what it says in there, but, but that title is funny to me because they're, now Ready, Fire, Aim as like kind of a tagline has become pretty popular. Not because of my book, but just because it's because of the time, right, that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
So, I came up with that because way back in the day when I was a baby executive working at Clear Channel, which is now iHeart, but I was at Clear Channel Los Angeles, and I was a general sales manager there, controlling more revenue than any other single individual in the company, and I was one of the youngest, if not the youngest. And the president of Clear Channel always, and I was like, looked at as impulsive, and very like not risk adverse. And, and so, a lot of and I was young, and I was like, I thought I knew everything. And I thought I was like, I thought I had all the answers. So, with that in mind, I was taking a lot of risks that my like older, more seasoned counterparts wouldn't take. And so the president of Clear Channel always used to be like, there's Ready, Fire, Aim, Melissa, because it was like, he used to say I would like take 100 shots at something before anyone else even had their gun out of their holster. And I was like, yeah, that is me, and it's been me when I was like a 3-year-old kid, and it's me as a 45-year-old adult. And it's just, who I am, and I can't help but be any other way. But, he would always say that. He's like, gunslinger, like 100 shots, I'm dead, don't even have my gun out of my holster yet. So I always like kind of took that with me. I liked being described that way. And so he didn't even realize if it had ended up being the title of the book. That
is so cool. And it's true. It goes back to all of the philosophies, right? Like if you don't at least try, I mean, think about how many times, basketball players have to shoot, and hockey players, it's all of those concepts. And you did it, with your attitude. And I love that because that's why your book resonated with me, because I feel like I'm one of those people, when I get excited about something and I'm all in. I don't know how to just go, I'm like,
hate that.
Hell yeah, let's do this. And then you're like, oh, that didn't quite go the way I wanted it to, but at least you put your heart and your soul and your spirit into it.
That's right. Who cares? Right.
Yeah,
I can like that actually, because, it's funny. I don't do a lot of like podcasts. I don't do a lot of like, interviews and like anymore. I just like, I'm so slammed that I'm very particular about doing them. I typically only do them around an event, when I have an event being launched. But you were very persistent, and your words, not even just persistent, but your words were strongly worded, direct. There is an objective to, like, there was no fluff. And I was into that. I was like, I like the way this girl talks, so I'm going to talk to her.
Thank you. I love that you say that, because sometimes I feel like that it can be considered as abrupt or curt or not, because I'm not a fluff. I'm not like, I am sweet and kind and caring, right? Like I'm that person. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to certain things, I just feel like, I don't want to waste your time. Let's get in, let's get out, let's do this. And so I love that we're jibing, and thank you again for doing this. So I feel like that's why your book resonated with me. And I love that you said dream epically.
Yes.
And that is so true. The saying, if your dreams don't scare you, then they're not big enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, to me, and this kind of goes back to what you were just saying, the only way we as people will ever regret anything is if we didn't take the shot. Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I always tell people, like, stop trying to take other people's advice, right? Because here's the thing. If you have an idea or notion, and you are like, I wonder if this will work. I wonder if this is right. and somebody talks you out of it and you decide to take that advice, and sometimes people give me shit for this, but and if you take that person's advice and change your course and it doesn't work, then you're like, well, shit, would my original idea have worked? And it's almost not worth it. It's like, because then you're always like, man, I should have just trusted. And so that is where guilt lives, right?
Yes.
That is where it lives, breathes, and dies. You know, actually it dies when you follow your own path. But so I can't tell you how passionate I am about following your own compass, and that doesn't mean don't learn. That doesn't mean like be an asshole. Can I say asshole?
Yes, absolutely. Please. Curse away. I have the mouth of a sailor, so bring it on.
That doesn't mean be, an obnoxious, self-righteous know-it-all. It doesn't mean that.
Right.
Like, for sure, learn, take the lessons. But I just think when you have a vision, it is your vision. And it's your vision for a reason. Like, you can't, especially if it's something that's never been done before, you can't get outside influence and advice from people who don't have your vision. You have to do it your way, because if you don't do it your way and it doesn't work, then you're upset and like in the land of the unknown. If you do it your way and it doesn't work, you did it your way and you're not in the land of the unknown.
Yep.
If you do it your way and it works, well, great. Then everybody can fuck themselves,
Totally.
So, it's just like, to me, there's the risk is always in listening to voices.
Yep.
The outside voices, always.
Absolutely. And
dream ethically.
yes. And like I said, so many things about your book resonated, and it was right after I read your book when I had become a widow. So I was pretty fresh into like that whole world, and it was brutal.
Good
was awful.
Yeah.
But I'm on the other side, and I've got a lovely woman in the other room over there, and she's like my world. I'm in a very different place now.
Good.
But when I was reading your book, it was because I was in that, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where I was, and I had big dreams. I had big ideas, and because what could stop me, right? I was already at rock bottom. So all I could do was dream epically. And it's funny. This is the same journal that I had when I was reading your book, and I still have it. And I still use it to this day. And follow your dreams.
Love.
And I remember it like activate. And I would follow. I have choose boldly, activate your ideas, kill your fear of failure. And those resonated so intensely with me, and that's when I started my fitness journey, and I would write my goals in here, and I would work towards those goals, and I would activate. I'm like, I'm not just going to do this half-ass. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go big. I'm going to dream big. And at the time I wanted to be a personal trainer, but obviously my path has since changed. But this podcast and having you on here would be part of that dreaming epically, because you worked for Clear Channel. I wanted to be a DJ. I grew up wanting to be a radio DJ, and my mom wasn't having it. She wanted me to have a real career, so to speak.
Right.
And so to have you on this podcast is kind of like that full circle of dreaming epically.
That makes me so happy. I can't tell you how much that means to me. And, I know, like, and not to cut you off, but I know a lot of people, just are like, oh, thank you. Like, literally, it is everything to me. Like, when I hear that from people, because I didn't write that book to like make money. I didn't write that book to like stand on a soapbox and pontificate. I wrote that book because literally I needed that book when I was a baby entrepreneur. Like, I needed somebody to tell me those things, and I didn't have like a lot of like business mentors. And I certainly didn't have a lot of like female like mentors and idols who I could be like, tell me how to do this. So whenever somebody sends me something and tells me how moved they were by something in the book, it literally, like, I get, when you just said that, I got chills, you know, because it's literally why I wrote the book, and it's all that matters to me. You know, I just want more people out there taking more shots. And and when you can see it so clearly that it's not that hard, you just want everyone else to see it that clearly too, because the world thinks it's so hard. It's why like less than 1% of entrepreneurs are actually like doing big things, because it's like there's this notion that like the risk and oh my God, what if, and it's so hard, and the hours and like my life, I won't be able to do anything. It's just like, it's so executable, and it's so worth it, because it is like what's easier, going to work every day from 9 to 5 and sitting in a cubicle? Like, is that easier? Because look at how much time of your life you're spending in that small space, when if you're out hustling, hitting the pavement, activating, doing the things that are going to, you know, eventually lead to a step and another step and another step and another step towards something that gives you your own time. Like, who cares if you're working more? You're working more for the thing you love. It doesn't even feel like work anymore.
Yeah.
You know? So it's just like the risk to me is in not jumping. That like, that's the bigger risk. Like a life wasted. Like that's a massive price to pay.
Yeah, totally. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. I love it. And like you said, you will never know unless you try. Never. You will never know unless you try. And yeah, you got to start. And, you know, that was a lesson I had to learn, you know, at rock bottom. You know, I had to learn, and same thing. I was kind of like, okay, I don't want corporate anymore. I wanted something new. I wanted something different. I didn't know quite what it was yet. So, you know, it took me to this place, this space right here where we are. Mm-hmm. And like you said, it just, you know, things just kind of fell into place. And,
what were you doing? What were you doing corporately?
So I was an SOP writer, so standard operating procedures.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of my jam. I know it bores people, but I used to fly helicopters. So if you think about it, I didn't do that for work. I did that for fun. But in order to check out a helicopter, like there's a checklist, there's a 45-minute process that you have to go through. And my life is important enough to do that 45-minute checklist so I don't die flying the big death machine.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. Holy cow.
So I loved writing those documents. It's a process. Yeah. So like I said, most people, you know, they want to watch paint dry over, you know, that, but that's my jam. That's my expertise. That's what I do.
No, I get it. Standard operating procedure writer.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Yeah. I wasn't even aware of that role. So that, I mean, I love hearing about roles like that. I actually can understand how somebody would love doing that. You know, like I actually get it. I get it.
I'm very process driven. Yep. So like, think about you with your shows that you put on, right? There's a process, there's a checklist. You need to be able to make sure that someone is following all of these processes and checklists. Mm-hmm. That's the nerd in me.
I love it.
That's the nerd in me. So, but, and training documents, like I love doing training documents. And so I was a corporate trainer and things of that nature. That's what I did as a living.
Yeah.
But I got to a point again, because I was in a different place, and I was like, okay, life is short. What do I want to do with my life? You know, and I spent 10 years in school to get, you know, my degree, my master's degree. So I earned that right. I loved what I was doing. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I also felt, okay, it's time for me to start doing the things I want to do. And so that's why your book really spoke to me. And I was able to just latch onto those ideas and just run with it. And so like at 51, I started my podcast. 51. So I'm like,
are you a high level of discipline person?
Yes, absolutely. That's where the unicorn comes in. Mm-hmm. So I was actually a unicorn client for my personal trainer, because I would ask for more. And she's like, okay, you're crazy. And I was like, bring it. I would say, what are we working on tomorrow? And she's like, we're going to do legs tomorrow. I'm like, okay, I'm probably going to hate my life, but I wouldn't complain. I never complained, so that's why I did well in the military. That's why I right.
Military. Oh, this makes so much sense to me now. I always try to find like the people who are moved the most by things in my book. I always like try to find what those common like personality characteristics are. The discipline thing is one that I'm really into right now. Because I'm noticing that people who have and like discipline, who are and like discipline, it's like becoming a common thread in the people who are affected the most in the book. And it makes a lot of sense, right? Because if you like discipline, you can take some of these principles and you're like, yes, activate. That makes sense to a disciplined characteristic human.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like dream epic, like you're just like somebody is telling you like these are the things that you should do, and you can just have your dream. And if you're a person with high discipline characteristics, like you'll do that. But if you're a person who's like looking for a magic pill, the book won't resonate with you, because it is a book definitely that is like you have to dig into, the guts of who you are and activate that. Like you can't just hope, right?
You have to do the work. Like activate. You have to activate.
I know it's so hard for people to just do that. Like I don't, and this is the thing I get so frustrated with, like very frustrated sometimes, that we as a human species have an easier time sitting in a cubicle for 5 days out of the week building somebody else's business than we do to just wake up in the morning and go run on the treadmill for 30 minutes. Like it's crazy. Do you know what I mean? Like
absolutely, yeah.
It's just we've been like bred to be this way, I think, by society. And that to me is like a horrible tragedy. And I have a really hard time with it on a daily basis, which I could pontificate on forever.
I love it. It's okay. I get it. And I come from a family of entrepreneurs, but I'm like the only one that wasn't an entrepreneur. I went into military, and then I did corporate, and then I went to academics, and then I went back to corporate. Because again, that was my safe space. It was what was comfortable for me, because I saw my parents and my family struggle through the entrepreneurship. And I just felt like I didn't really have a head for business, so to speak. Like I suck at math. I'm an English major. Like I will read books all day, but please don't make me do my tax return. Like I have to hire someone to do that. And it's super easy, but still I'm like, yeah, I don't trust myself with numbers. But I got to a point where I was like, I don't want to be on my deathbed and never get to do these things that I always wanted to do. Have my own coffee shop, have my own gym, or at the time, these were my ideas, these were my dreams. And now it's the podcast. And the podcast, like you said, I wake up and I literally, you'll appreciate, I am literally surrounded. I have 2 whiteboards, and they're in different colors. Everything is color coded. My whole life is color coded. I have Post-it notes, color coded Post-it notes. Yeah. All my coworkers know this about me. And this is how I control my empire. This is my empire, right? On the other side of you is my empire. So cool. And that's what I'm building right now. I'm working on it. I waited 51 years. Yeah. But damn it, I'm activating, and I'm epically dreaming right now.
Yes, of course you are.
And thank you for being a part of it.
Of course. Thank you for letting me be a part of it. Thank you for like listening. Cause I am so intrigued by the entrepreneurial spirit. Like I could talk about it all day, every day,
Awesome. Pontificate away.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste your time.
No,
and so I do have some questions that I would love to get out there. So if you weren't in the horror business, what would you be doing? We might have already answered that, because you kind of mentioned the other projects that you have. So I apologize.
Funny. No, you know what? I would say the music festival business, because I'm so in love with my music festival right now. but I love boat cinema. I love all my events. So God, have you heard that song by Luke Combs? What it says, if I wasn't doing this, I'd still be doing this. Basically that. If I wasn't doing this, I'd still be doing this. I think it's just what I'm supposed to be doing, you know? So I don't,
Totally.
I think it would be events. You know, the problem with a brain like mine, because it's, you know, it's like an entrepreneurial, like creative brain versus the organized process brain that you have. And so I always have millions of things that I want to do. And it's just like the time to do them. So, but my next you know, dream project, I think this will be like my retirement project, is I want to open I want to buy like a ranch piece of property type thing out here in California and create like a bed and breakfast, right? Called like, and I want to call it Camp Gwen and Macy Farms, after my two dogs. And it's like a camp, but it's also like a hotel, you know, retreat thing where we have like gardens and orchards, and it's all like, that's all how people eat when they get there. We have a pond with like little cool vintage trailers around it. But it also, you know, in the fall has like Halloween events, and Christmas and holiday time, it has those types of events. We can have little music festivals there. It can be like a very cool like camp. So it's kind of this all-encompassing, you know, camp / bed and breakfast project that I would love to just have as my retirement project. So that's probably next for me.
Very cool. Very cool. And do you know like where in California? Is it going to be like more northern or
you
like
know,
central?
I've looked at property in Temecula. I've looked at property in like the like, well, San Luis Obispo, but I mean that's such a big area. But I've looked in like the Pismo area as well. I've looked, because I actually love Pismo Beach, but there's just Pismo doesn't lend itself to like ranches, so that's a little bit hard. And then obviously the whole Santa Ynez area, like where you have like Solvang and Buellton, like that whole, I love that whole area a lot.
Oh yeah, that area is cool. Have you been to the hitching post out there?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I go up there. I love it up there.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool. So we talked about this briefly. You worked in the radio industry.
Yeah.
But did you ever want to be a DJ like me?
No, absolutely no desire at all to be a DJ. I was like, you know, I loved my time at Clear Channel, until I didn't, right? Until it was never bad. I got bored after, you know, a certain amount of time. But no, I never wanted to be a DJ. I love all the DJs. I became like very good friends with some of our DJs, but I loved creating the marketing campaigns and the music festivals and all of the, I mean, you know, that was kind of why the president of Clear Channel and I had such a great relationship, and why he called me Ready, Fire, Aim, is because I was building shit that other like radio people weren't building. I was building like, you know, multi-million-dollar concert events on the roofs of auto dealerships, because I was like, that's how we'll sell cars. And people were like, what? But like, you know, I got the money for it. I did it. And ultimately, you know, people started doing it too. So, you know, I loved it. It allowed me to be creative. I learned the corporate kind of vernacular that you needed to like be considered, you know, having a business acumen. Yep. So, you know, I learned so much from that I loved it, but never, ever did I want to be a DJ.
Cool. So there's going to be like a series of Halloween type of questions. So what is your favorite Halloween smell? Have you noticed how Coffee Fueled Stories doesn't have any ads? That's because I work tirelessly to keep this show alive. After 3 years on my own, I've decided I need to ask for your help. I've never asked anyone to subscribe. I've never asked anyone to leave a review. I've never asked anyone to rate the show. And I've never asked anyone to pay to listen. There are a few ways you can help support the show. I've created a Patreon page, Coffee Fueled Stories, and a subscription section on my podcast website. It's simple to support and help me keep my dream alive. Just click the link in the show notes to set up your paid subscription option. It's that easy. Thank you for your support.
Hay. I love Hay.
Do you have any favorite Halloween movie or movies?
Yeah, I love The Strangers, the original Strangers. Love. I and it's funny because it's not most people expect me to be like The Exorcist, The Shining, but like, and I love those, but I think The Strangers was so jarring and so like, it like for its time. Now lots of movies are like that, but I love The Strangers. I also really love, I do love The Shining a lot, but I would say my other favorite Halloween movie would be Friday the 13th 4.
Okay. Why 4?
To be honest, I like the special effects in that one. I feel like, the slasher film, the slasher film looked a certain way for, a period of time in the 80s, and it's the look of slasher films started to morph and mutate and evolve. And I think that film, it looked the best for me, right? It looked the best for me in a way that it just captured my eye throughout the whole thing,
Nice.
So yeah, I like the Jason Voorhees costume in that one as well. But yeah,
Nice.
Plotline is great. I love that movie.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Halloween candy?
Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish they had a vegan one, but Reese's peanut butter cups.
Well, let's see. Hello, entrepreneurs. Vegan peanut butter cups.
Yeah. Reese's peanut butter cups.
Activate.
Yeah.
Okay, someone activate that.
Yeah.
How much coffee in a day do you drink, and what is your go-to coffee drink?
Oh my God. So much coffee. I probably drink 5 cups of coffee a day because I drink it all day long while I'm working. I always have coffee in my hand, and it's like, it's like a big coffee. And my favorite go-to coffee is the Nespresso, the little chocolate cups. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like the original size Nespresso, and I think it's called Chocolatino.
Yum.
Yeah.
Nice. And then this is going to be a silly question. Because as we know, being in horror and being scared, that's all part of it. And do you still sleep with the closet door closed?
Yeah.
Right? I always, if that closet door is not closed, I am not sleeping.
Yeah,
and yet,
it's closed.
I watch horror movies all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
If MTV came to your house, MTV Cribs, and they were to open your refrigerator, what would they find?
They would find a lot of canned water, which is my new favorite thing of life. It's just regular flat water, but in cans. So I drink a ton of that. They would find that. They would find the St. Eve's vegan bologna and chow white cheddar cheese always I'm like a massive bologna sandwich for a snack. Is so not good for you, but I love them.
Those are so good. Those are so good.
I know. And then they would find, it's not that interesting. And then I always have a big bin of, I cook for my dogs. So there's always a big bin of like, whatever their food mixture is of the week. So, yeah, and not that interesting. Lots of condiments, some, Califia Farms almond milk. Yeah, maybe some like veggie grill leftover 7-layer bowl. Real specific. But
so you don't cook for yourself, but you cook for the dogs.
Yeah. Totally. Yep.
Awesome. My parents used to do the same thing. I felt like the dog ate healthier than I did. I would go and visit my parents, and he would get chicken and rice, and they would make his chicken and rice, and I would be looking at my piece of toast and coffee, and I was like, what? I'm like, he's eating better than me right now.
Yeah.
So I get it.
I say that of my dogs too.
Yeah. Right?
Yep.
Do you read horror books as well? No.
I don't. I actually need to make more time to read just in general. I don't read enough. I feel like I'm always like just flying and don't make time for it. But I actually just started reading Will Smith's new memoir, and I love it. And like reading Will Smith's new memoir is getting me back in like this frame of wanting to read more. So yeah, but no, I never read horror ever.
Wow, that's surprising.
Yeah.
Very cool. And do you have a fitness routine? You have always seemed very fit, always in shape, very active. I don't know if that's because you drink 5 cups of coffee a day and you just go, 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 go. But do you have any like fitness routine of any kind?
I do. So I go to Soul Cycle 5 or 6 days a week. I pretty much start my day in like a hour long Soul Cycle class every day, and then at night I will usually do like yoga at home, like at least 3 times a week with like push-ups, and like I do like my at home thing, which is like 15 to 30 minutes, 3 times a week. But that morning Soul Cycle class is a must in my life. It's just I gotta like it. I have so much energy, and it's not because of the coffee. So even without coffee, my energy levels are crazy. So yeah, so it's like I try to exhaust myself. So 5 to 6 Soul Cycle classes a week is a lot, and sometimes I double in a day. So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I've got to do.
I love that you say that, because I feel the same way. Like even before I have my first cup of coffee, I wake up and I'm ready to rock and roll. Like I'm never one of those, I don't get up. Like I literally throw the covers off, fly out of the bed, and I just start my day. So I feel like I have to get my beans out. And if I don't get my beans out, it can be bad, because that energy, I'm kind of like, okay, what do I do with all of this energy? I need to do something. I have to be doing something, right?
Yeah.
So I love that. It's nice to know that I'm not the only one out there that needs to get my beans out. So that's awesome.
What you do, like see like a person who doesn't love what they do, see how lacking of energy that person is, it's because you love what you do. It's amazing. Like that's a good thing, a good problem to have is like too much energy.
I love it. Totally. I totally agree with that. So do you have, since you said that Will Smith's book is helping you, have you considered like writing another book, especially now that you've got like other ideas, or are you just, is the one book kind of what you're focusing on, or would you like add to Ready, Fire, Aim?
I don't have it like as a burning desire to write another book. That book was really hard for me to write. And it came about like I wasn't trying to write a book. It came about in like a very, very like weird organic way. And so I agreed to do it. And, it was hard. Like, I think it took me like a year and a half or maybe longer of actual just writing. And I would have to set some time apart, every single day to try to write. And I couldn't use my editor tried to put me with ghostwriters, and every time I got the ghostwriter edits, I hated them. It didn't sound like my voice. And so I came to the conclusion like months in that I was going to have to write it word for word myself. And then my editors would like, do punctuation and spelling, help on it. But like that process of not having like an aid of somebody helping you write it makes it so insanely taxing. And if you are an author and that's what you love, that's different,
right?
But I'm not a writer, so it was really hard, but it was insanely cathartic. And I loved once the process was done, I actually think it was one of the most valuable exercises I've ever done in my life, and I love that I have that all in a book, because I can go back and refer to it and sometimes re-motivate myself. Like, like we all get our like guts punched out, and like, I've had a really rough couple of years like everyone else. And sometimes like I need somebody to be like, yo, dude, like, how to do that. Like, just go, like, get up, so I like that it's out there, but I don't think I would write. It's not in the plan. Who knows? You never, like, my life changes on a dime.
Right.
So, maybe, but yeah, I'm not like having the burning desire to.
Very cool. Very cool. I also was curious to know, do you still keep in touch with Mark Cuban?
A little bit. Yeah. I mean,
okay.
If there's like a reason to, once we sold the company, we were in touch a lot while we owned the company together. Once we sold the company to 13th Floor, Mark got bought out completely. I'm the only owner of the company that stayed in with them. And I think, maybe a couple times a year, like I'll, talk to him, like if it's his birthday or I see something in the news that he did that I think is cool. Cause he's doing a lot of really cool things, and it makes me really proud of the fact that he was my partner for a long time, because I think his moral compass is in the right place. And so, just like conversations like that, I'll, very small talky, congrats, oh my God, look what you're doing. Hey, what are you doing over there? Hey, you have a music festival. Oh, I do. Like, just like that, like that.
Because so this brings me to the question I would really would like to ask is, has he ever been scared to death with your shows?
No. He hasn't.
What?
He's a tough guy. Yeah, no, he hasn't at all. There is maybe he's an Unscare-able. I'm an Unscare-able. Nothing, you cannot scare me at all. Like, nothing startles me.
I admire that, because
real life, I take that back. Real life scares me.
I love that you say that, because real life monsters are way scarier than movie monsters. Like, the movie monsters and, Gilman and Dracula and all of that. But, the real, like you said, the real world, the real monsters that are out there. And that's why I love horror, because horror is very cathartic. And so I love that you said that the book was cathartic, because writing was very cathartic for me as well. And that's why this is very special.
Yeah.
And so writing and horror and scary things, being scared, but not being scared, not from fear of not trying something. That's a different kind of fear. And having that, I'll use this as an example. The first time I went through a haunted house, I was very young. And it was the first time I ever actually grabbed a stranger in front of me, because we were going through the haunted house and, we were all in a single file line, and it was like the jail part.
Yeah.
And this was before like they could actually like touch you, right? Like you couldn't get grabbed. And so I went first. My family was behind me, because I was the brave kid. I was like, I can do this. I got this. I was like 12 or something like that. And needless to say, I was hanging onto the guy's hoodie in front of me, like hiding my face in his hoodie, just like, screaming the whole time. And then we came out and I was like, okay, so yeah, that didn't quite go the way that I expected.
Look at you now.
Right? I know.
Love it.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Yeah. But so then when you go through your or when you have the hayrides and things of that nature, I don't know if it's unfair, because like what the path is, but that's what I wanted to know. Have you ever been scared? Has anybody been able to scare you with your haunted hayrides or the horror campouts?
No, not it. It's no. And it's so funny is AMC wanted to make a show about it called Fear Engineers, about trying to scare Unscare-ables. And like we filmed a pilot, and it was just that, finding people who are like, hell no, I'm not gonna, like, that shit's not scary, and putting them in things that me and my team create and trying to prove them wrong. And but me, no, like, I'm telling you, I cannot get scared. I wish I could. Way back in the day, in the early years, probably, maybe, but no. And I can think of one time where something actually scared me, and it was my old creative director, Justin Meyer. We were at Boat Cinema, right? Like, that wasn't even it's not even a Halloween attraction. This was like a couple years, like when we launched Boat Cinema during the pandemic. We did a Friday the 13th night. On Friday the 13th, we showed Friday the 13th floor, and he came out of the water with Jason mask on to scare everyone in the boats. And like, I was doing something and I turned around and he was like right in my face, and I was like, whoa. But it was because I was so not expecting that at Boat Cinema. And so that is the only time I can think of where I actually was legitimately startled. So, but it's because I've been creating the scares for so long that it's so hard to like find that scary moment now. And if I'm not finding it, I really don't feel like anyone else is finding it, you know? So
Totally.
so you get really desensitized, I think, to all of that. But I still love it. I see it now in a different way. It's beautiful, you know, like, and it's always been beautiful to me, but like I see, you know, the scenes and the vignettes and, you know, the way it's like soundscaped or the light, like, and to me, it's just all very beautiful, you know?
Yeah. The sound of screams is beautiful, right?
Favorite sound. Oh, yes, it is. Best sound in the world is just a freaking cacophony of screams coming out of a you know, scare zone. Yeah.
That is so, my cheeks are, I can't, like, my cheeks hurt from laughing, because I could just imagine you just like,
Best.
Yeah, that's so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Have you ever actually been in any of your scenes? Have you been a participant in any of your creative scenes?
Yeah, I used to every year on Halloween put costumes on and go into like the mazes and like scare people. Yeah, I used to like used to be my favorite thing to do the last night of the attraction is to put on a costume and then just go out and like raise holy hell. It was like my way of like celebrating the end of the year. We made it. Now I'm gonna go out and annihilate people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the day after Halloween, would you kind of take a deep breath and be like, all right, guys, good job, and then just immediately start planning for the next year? Like, were you ever able to like relax and take in that moment and just have peace with it, with the screams?
Yeah, you know, it's the day after, it's always like a breath of fresh air. We made it. We usually, and this is prior to 13th floor, we'd always take like the holiday season off. You know, me and my team, we'd always like, you know, break and like hit it middle of January, end of January, early Feb for the following year, for the Hayride. It's, you know, if we had other things going on like the Great Horror Campout or our the Great Horror Movie Nights, then, you know, we would work on those, but typically we'd be off for the holidays. And it's always that last night, Halloween, where we would all let our hair down. At that point, we'd kind of let the guests and patrons do what they want, because we typically don't allow costumes at the Hayride, but on that night, I mean, if people wore costumes, we'd let it fly. We'd like take this, you know, the normal sound of the event down and throw on, you know, like Rob Zombie and Michael Jackson and like all of the Halloween. We had like the best mashup, you know, Halloween playlist, and we'd put that on and we'd turn the entire Hayride into like a giant Halloween party. And so that night was kind of, you know, we did all of our friends, we'd like tailgate in the parking lots, we'd bring out wine, and it was like that was kind of like the night where we were all like, we made it, you know, let's have a rager and blow out, you know, the season. So it was always that night that was kind of our like, okay, you know, but yeah, it was, and those were the best nights. Even just talking about them now, it's like I love those nights. I wish we still had them.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Do you have visions of having more events? Like you said, you love doing the events, and so like, I haven't really experienced many large concerts. I went to a couple of Lollapaloozas, like when they first came out.
Yeah.
And then I think I went to and when I lived in Texas, Blockbuster had like a really big like 3-day event or something like that. And then there's, you know, you have Coachella and stuff like that. But are there events that were like really big, like let's say 5-day or like 2-week like music festival events? Like, do you, again, because dreaming epically, like, because for me, I love music, and if someone said, oh my God, there's this amazing festival, it's a 2-week festival, all of these bands are going to be playing, like, do you have plans to do something like that ginormous? Would you do something that ginormous with, like, say, Halloween or music?
Yes, I am actually already doing that with my music festival, Tailgate Fest. It's massive, and it's growing exponentially. But it's, you've heard of Stagecoach.
Yes.
Yeah. So Tailgate is actually now competing with Stagecoach.
Oh, no way.
So, yeah, it's crazy. And we actually, so in year one, we had 10,000 people. We were outside at the forum and took over, shut down Pinkay and took over some of the lot where they now have SoFi Stadium where the Rams play. We filled up the entire thing, right, in year one, and it was a 1-day festival. So the second year we added a second day, moved to a 120-acre ranch just 45 minutes outside of LA, to 25,000 people, added camping. We have a giant, like, 1,000-person pool party right next to the stage called Boots and Bikinis. That's become kind of an event within itself. And then now we've moved it to the NASCAR track. We've taken over the entire infield. We could have 100,000 people there. And it's like, and have grown camping. So now it's becoming this multi-day camp, country music festival tailgate. And it's such a unique concept because it's not like any other music festival out there. But all of the heads of the talent agencies came out in 2019. And one of them, who's very well known and respected, actually said to me, to my face, I can't believe I'm saying this, but there is actually a alternative to Stagecoach now in Southern California. And I was like, what? Like, that's a crazy thing to hear in your second year, but we went balls to the wall on this festival. And this festival is a legend. And, one day, like, I'm glad I just said that on this video, because one day I'm going to refer back to this and be like, I knew it was going to be a legend. And just like with the LA Haunted Hayride, in year 2009, when we wrapped that year, I said, I'm like, this event will become, the benchmark of Halloween, and it has been. It's a legend here in Hollywood. And I am telling you, Tailgate Fest will be the next big thing in music festivals and country music festivals. So that is definitely, I'm dreaming epically with that thing. But I feel like that with everything, right? Like even boat cinema, like that was a COVID safe thing to do, right? And now we're getting offers for people who want to put it in 15 cities, and scale it and duplicate it. So I think all of the events that I build, I always build them with the intention that it will become, a thing for sure,
That is so cool. That is so cool. Like you said, why think small? And that was one of the things that you mentioned in the book, in the very beginning. You're like, why just think small? Like, go big or go home. Like, if you're going to do this, like, just go big, like, dream epically. And that's so cool that you said that. And because I remember seeing on your social media, the tailgate, and because I wasn't familiar with it until I started, looking at your Instagram. And then I was like, oh, wow, okay. So I didn't realize. And now talking with you, I'm like, holy crap, like, that's freaking cool. Like, I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. It's, COVID did gut punch that brand for me, which, the Hayride, we were able to flourish through COVID. This different, like music festivals, you couldn't put them on. It just was not the type of thing that could find, a pivot enough. So, we went on sale for 2020. We had to cancel the festival like everyone else, but we had Miranda Lambert and Dierks Bentley and Leonard Skinner. Like, we had this next level, for our third year, we had elevated our lineup to this next level because we were on this growth trajectory. And so, we got gut punched. And so we're coming back, which is literally that was for me, the goal was like, I want to bring this thing back, a brand new festival that was only had 2 years under our belts, like, to even have, the platform, the financing to bring this thing back. Like, that's where my goal was. And then we did. But we have to bring it back at the 2019 level. We weren't able to elevate it again to that third year, which I'm fine with, because I actually think the festival is going to do amazing this year. And I think having this year is the year we need to create a platform to elevate it again. So it was just a business decision that I think if we hadn't made, we maybe wouldn't have ever be able to bring it back, you know? So I wasn't ready for this thing to be one of my failures, even though like I have plenty of them. Tailgate Fest is not going to be one of them. So it's,
yes.
so we're gonna, you know, chunk our way back into the land of the living with this thing. And we went on sale, and we had the best pre-sale we've ever had. We were up 400% from our 2020 pre-sale. So, you know, that to me is a good temperature of what the festival is going to look like this year.
Very cool. Well, congratulations. That is super awesome. That is so cool.
But I agree with you. If you're going to do something, you got to jump. Like if you're going to jump, like fucking jump, you know? I mean,
yes.
drive-in movie theaters, you know, we did 176 of them. Like, do you understand how crazy we were like chickens with our heads cut off. 176 drive-in movie events over a 4-month period. Like, that's insane. So even then, like, we're only talking about drive-in movies, but we did more of them than anyone else in Los Angeles. So it's like, if you're gonna go, you gotta go big. I practice what I preach.
That is so cool. So when you pick people to be on your team, like, do you straight up ask them, like, do you dream like this or do you dream like this? Like, how do
no, you know, I don't. It's like I have a really hard time finding my like soulmate team members. And it's, you know, it's partly because my expectations are so high of people who are going to be like my team. And they're high for myself. So I don't try to hold other people to expectations I don't hold myself to, you know. But my LA Haunted Hayride team, it was such a dream team, soulmate team, that it's a hard one to kind of, you know, and I don't want to compare because it's like, it's a different life now, but it's hard not to, you know? So I have some good people that I work with for sure. But we're not there yet. Like, I don't have that, like that team that, you know, is going to take me through the next decade, like I did for the first decade. But I have a good team, you know. The people who are on it right now, like I have an amazing assistant who I think could be that person, you know. She's my newest kind of hire after COVID, and she's insanely talented. And I think she probably, you know, could become somebody who has her own tailgate fest and her own boat cinemas in other markets. My social person, who has been with me for, you know, the last 4 years actually, could be that as well. So there's a couple real strong people on my team. But yeah, we're still like, you know, building.
So I don't want to take up any more of your time. But if you have anything else that you would love to share with us, I know you mentioned your projects. If there's anything else out there that you wanted to let the listeners know, we are all ears.
Yeah, no, I mean, the same thing I want everyone to know is keep shooting, keep activating, just keep going, keep moving, start. It is like, starting is literally the hardest thing. And it is just one step, and it's the first step. Just start. Once you start, you will just keep going. So that's it. I want the world, you know, I want the world, literally every human on this planet, to be happy, right? To do what they want to do. It is like a scarce thing, you know, that you meet people who are literally living their best life, doing what they want to do. And I just want more of that, you know, because I think when people are in their happiest place, I think, you know, they treat other people better. They treat, you know, the planet better. They treat animals better. I think it creates a kinder world. You know, I don't think it's a hard math equation to just live in a kinder place. We just need to make people happier, you know, and it's so executable, and it's so within reach, and it's not nearly as hard as people think it is. Just do what you want to do. Be happy.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Oh my goodness, Melissa, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. You're awesome. Like, I think you're awesome. I'm not surprised that you're crushing it and doing life. So you're awesome for having me.
Thank you for being here. I'm blushing like crazy. So, thank you.
Absolutely.
And I wish you all the best. And I seriously, I can't wait to see more of your successes. And seriously, just keep on rocking, sister. Keep on rocking.
You too.
All right.
Keep in touch.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Coffee Chats podcast with this week's special guest, Melissa Carbone, author of Ready, Fire, Aim. You can find her book and event links in the podcast details. Thank you for unicorning with me. Go forth and be magical.